Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, we are going to be discussing a very exciting Ninjago Dragons Rising topic brought to us again by Ninjago series head writer Doc Wyatt over on Blue Sky. Not Twitter, but Blue Sky. If you want to follow me over there, feel free. I have an account, link down below in the description. But anyway, today's video involves the Source Dragons and what exactly they represent in terms of elemental powers. Obviously, thanks to what we've seen from Dragons Rising so far, we as Ninjago fans know that the Source Dragons are directly responsible for creating all of the elemental powers out there. And different Source Dragons are responsible for different elemental powers. For example, fire is a motion element. Lightning is an energy elemental power. And while we know what some elemental powers are regarding their respective source dragons and their categories, we still do not know about all of them. A lot of elemental powers are currently unknown. Even some source dragons are currently unknown regarding what exactly they represent. But someone over on Blue Sky made this chart and sent it over to Doc Wyatt, Ninjago's head writer. Now, full disclosure, I have seen this chart floating around quite a bit. I'm not exactly sure who the original creator of this chart is, but if you would like to let me know in the comments, feel free. But anyway, just given the chart here, Doc Wyatt actually replied to this saying, mostly correct. I see 5 incorrect entries, cannot correct them now, let's talk again in the future. Yeah, so this chart right here, this fan-made chart, is actually fairly close to being correct, only with 5 incorrect entries. And by that, I assume Doc Wyatt means that 5 elemental powers are in the wrong spot, in the wrong category. So, with that being said, let's head on over to the chart itself. I decided to make up my own chart, pretty much a direct replica of this one, with a couple of changes here and there, and let's try to correct those 5 incorrect entries. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer. Okay, so here we have the actual chart all brought up here, pretty much just a recreation of what was, I guess, posted at Doc Wyatt, and there are a few inaccuracies here, as he mentioned. Just really quick, though, before we start shifting things around, there are a couple of changes that I did make, or at least just one. I decided to label this Source Dragon as Balance, just because we still don't know what exactly this Source Dragon is supposed to be representing, but I feel like Balance is pretty logical, again, considering the symbol is half gold, half grayish silver, and a lot of the elemental powers listed here I do feel like belong to this Source Dragon. Pretty much, this Source Dragon contains all of the elemental essences, if you will, necessary for the balance of Ninjago. So creation, destruction, golden power, darkness. Not really going to be touching this category except for, labeling it as balance. Also, by the way, the red labels are the labels that are still unconfirmed. So as of right now, as of the time of recording, the white labels are confirmed titles. So motion, energy, strength, life, all of those are confirmed. All of those are final. Stillness, change, and balance are subject to change, of course. But let's focus on the elemental powers here. Also, by the way, this is not every single elemental power. There are some missing. For example, Amber. Amber was not on the original chart, so I did not include it here. Maybe we could do a separate video later on trying to categorize the remaining elemental powers. But as it stands right here, with this specific lineup, we have 5 inaccuracies. And I feel like the first thing that I'm going to change here is to take the water elemental power and move it up to motion, because that was already pretty much confirmed by Doc Wyatt that water is a motion elemental power. Again, not really sure how that works, considering that this elemental symbol here, this Source Dragon symbol, is very much water-esque. Apparently, water does not belong in that category, so I have no idea why that's the case, but I feel like that is our first inaccuracy. Therefore, we have 4 more inaccuracies. So which 4 would I change? Well, for starters, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of time in this category, because time shows up twice in this chart for whatever reason. Time is a motion element, I would say, not so much a stillness elemental power. Could be wrong, but if that's one of the inaccuracies, then we have 3 more to go for here. I feel like for motion, a lot of these do make sense, like fire, heat, smoke, speed, light. Yeah, light, I'm not really sure if that would fit in the motion category. I mean, sure, light moves and whatnot, the speed of light, all that good stuff, but in the context of Ninjago, light is pretty much Mr. Pale's power, and I almost feel like instead of this being a motion power, maybe that would instead be a stillness power, because to be fair, light, like I said, doesn't really move, so I feel like bumping that down to stillness might be a little bit more accurate, but then again, I could be completely wrong about that. But otherwise, these other elemental powers I think fit extremely well. Also just going to be moving water really quick. It's kind of bothering me being down there, not exactly spaced out the best, but you get the idea there. I feel like the motion category we can pretty much lock in. Energy, lightning, shockwave, sound, tech, wind. Yeah, I feel like maybe in the case of wind, I might move that down to life, just because the life source dragon, at least to me, seems a little bit more nature themed. So a lot of the nature elemental powers would go into this one, with the obvious exceptions like earth and lightning and fire and all that. But life, nature, plants, poison, figment, and wind. Figment, I'm also not really sure on. Figment is, of course, the elemental power that lets the user duplicate itself. I mean, I guess, because you're technically creating, like, the illusion of life, so maybe that does belong there. And, I mean, with that in mind, we still have one more inaccuracy to point out here, because, again, Doc Wyatt said there was 5 inaccuracies. We've corrected 4, or at least I attempted to correct 4. I'm looking at some of these other categories. Strength, I think, makes sense. All of these I could see being strength elemental powers. Earth makes sense. Quake makes sense. Fusion makes sense because you are fusing things together to make them stronger, so I could see that being a strength element. Metal, size, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Again, stillness, ice, mind, gravity, light, shadow. I could see shadow being a motion power, but then again, I could see a lot of these being motion powers technically. For example, with lightning, I mean, lightning moves, shockwave moves, sound moves through the air, but again, not everything is a motion power. I just realized we have mind on here twice, so I think that's the last inaccuracy. Which one would I rather have mind in? I feel like I'm gonna get rid of mind from the stillness category and instead double down on it being in the change category down here, or whatever this elemental symbol means. Just because with mind, again, if this is change, I mean, mind is very not fixed, right? I mean, different people think different things, and from what we've seen from Nero in the Ninjago TV series using the mind elemental power, it doesn't seem like it's not something that adapts, you know? I feel like this could also be adaptability, perhaps this symbol, but mind being there, I think that makes sense, and I think that is all of the changes that I think that we need to make. Now, with that being said, I feel like some of these might still be a bit questionable, and there are a few elemental powers that we still have not categorized. Again, like Amber. Not sure where Amber would even go. Maybe change, because again, Amber adapts to copy certain powers. But in terms of what we have here, I think I like this. I like a lot of the nature-themed powers being in life. I like a lot of the strength-based powers here, the energy powers, stillness. Shadow might be questionable because, again, shadows move. Maybe that could be a motion power, but then again, not everything's a motion power. Reflex, I could see maybe being in the energy category because you need to build up a lot of kinetic energy. That's kind of like the whole thing surrounding reflex. Then again, you move super quickly and reflexes are motion, so I could see either or there. But balance, I like. Seems like a lot of those powers will be balance elemental powers, or, you know, elemental essences, whatever you want to call them there. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for the time being. And again, we could always update this later on. Not sure if this list is more right or if it's somehow more wrong. Would not be surprised if it was somehow more wrong. But still, I find it very impressive that a Ninjago fan was able to get that close at first just by guessing, especially with some of these powers still not known fully just yet, or some of these source dragons, rather. Still, very impressive. But with that being said, everyone, that'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. This is my current guess as to which elemental powers belong in which category. Leave all of your guesses down below in the comments, and what exactly do you think about my chart here? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here. If you guys enjoyed this one, feel free to like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Peace.